We've all seen vigilantes done a million different ways in movies and TV and comic books, like people like the Punisher and Spider-Man and Batman, like they've been around forever. And until recently I thought that there wasn't really anything new you could do with a story about vigilantes. You know, it's just people that track down and punish criminals who escape normal law enforcement. And then I read Kill or Be Killed, and let me tell you, it's something.
This is the introduction song. It's not very good, but it's not too long.
So like I said, this is a graphic novel series, or comic book, I don't know. I really don't know. This one seems to sort of fall into the middle somewhere. But it's a graphic novel series all about a boy named Dylan who tries to commit suicide, but then he fails, and then a demon shows up and says, hey, I just saved your life, so now you have to kill one person a month to appease me. Like, the demon calls it rent. Like, and if he doesn't kill one person a month, then he dies. And so he decides, well, I'm gonna start killing criminals, like rapists and shit. And from there, shit gets crazy. Now, I'm actually reviewing volumes 1, 2, and 3 here, because I felt like volume 1 or just volume 2 wouldn't really have enough material for me to cover. So there will be some minor spoilers for the first one in here, but I'll try not to do too much. Now, the first thing that just stood out to me like crazy in this was how dark it is. And that's both visually and in terms of theme, because visually the art isn't all that great. Like, I'm just gonna come right out and say it. The art is like really dull and dark and doesn't have much character to it, and a lot of the time they'll have just like long narration passages that are just in like these giant blank boxes, and so half the page is white, and I don't like that either. So the art in this, not great. But in terms of the dark themes, I loved it. Because like I said, he's being forced to kill people, and he really doesn't want to, even though most of the people, all the people that he kills are scumbags, but he's like, well, fuck, I gotta do it now, I don't want to die. And so you really see Dylan progress from like, at the beginning he clearly hates society, and he's very depressed and anxious and socially isolated, and that's why he attempts suicide in the first place. But you also clearly see where he's coming from when he hates these people, because we've all felt that way. We've all felt like society is broken, or like the government's broken, and we've wanted to do something about it, but we're not crazy enough to just go on a killing spree, and this guy is forced to do that. And so the whole time I was reading, I was really thinking, like, what would I do in his situation? Like, would I be able to go through with things like he did? Would I try and get myself killed? Would I be successful? Or would I just not be able to do it and then move on with my life and then die? I don't know. But the fact that it's able to provoke thoughts like that is really, really fascinating, and I do quite enjoy it. There aren't really any other characters to talk about besides Dylan, though, because pretty much the whole thing is just told from his perspective. Like, you know, all the narration and everything, it takes place sometime after the events have transpired already, and he's just telling his story to somebody, we don't know yet. And, you know, the other characters, for the most part, they're just kind of there. Like, his friend Kira is kind of interesting, I guess, but they had a whole chapter devoted to her, and I was honestly just bored out of my skull for most of that. Like, I've read these twice, and the second time I went over it, I just skipped over that chapter, because, God, it was bad. But, you know, Dylan is fascinating enough that, you know, you can just stay with him and watch him do his thing, and it's really, really cool. But if you're looking for, like, a large, developed character cast with a whole bunch of different people that you love and you want to see more of them, this one's definitely not for you. And one issue I had with this as well was pacing. Like, it starts off in medias res, where it's like Dylan just killing a bunch of people in some sort of building. And we don't know who they are, we don't know how he got to this point, we don't know why he's doing this. Well, we find out pretty quickly why he's killing people, you just don't know why he's killing this particular group of people. And you don't find out what's actually going on there until Volume 3. Like, halfway through Volume 3, you finally find out, oh, okay, that's what he was doing, that's who those guys were, that's cool. And, well, I thought that was kind of annoying, because, that happens, and then Volume 2 as well also starts off in medias res, like, oh, he's just killing a dude, and now he's got to run away, and, like, then it has to go into a long flashback and explain what happens, and I'm like, you know, if you do that at the beginning of the story, that's fine, but it usually works best in shorter stuff. Like a movie can usually get away with in medias res a lot better, because those are only around 90 to 120 minutes. And so, you know, after an hour, you're like, oh, okay, I still remember all of that, I still remember what was going on, that's what happened, okay. But whereas this is a lot longer, like, it doesn't take you all that long to read, because, you know, it's a graphic novel and the majority of it's pictures, but it's still easy to forget that sort of thing. Like, these came out months apart from one another. If I had read the opening chapter when it first came out, I would likely have forgotten what was going on and had to go back and reread before I understood what was going on in Volume 3. And that, you know, that's just not good at all. And like I said, this does it more than once, so it just gets kind of old. And I hope they don't do it in the future, but I don't think there's a whole lot else to say about this, honestly. Like, it's super dark. Like I said, you're getting into the mind of a suicidal person who hates pretty much everyone around him, so yeah, just be aware of that beforehand. And, like, it's got a lot of nudity and swearing and violence, so, like, it's definitely not for younger kids or anything. Like, this is more of an older teenagers and adults sort of thing. But, you know, it is fascinating to get into this sort of mindset and try and think about what would cause a real person to do this sort of vigilante thing. Because we have seen it done a million times, but it's usually with more larger-than-life characters, like I said before, Batman and Spider-Man in them. And so, seeing just a scared young man who is forced into this position is a radically different idea, which I don't think I've ever seen before, and I'd really, really like to see more of it. I don't know how long this series is going to go on, but I do know that the first 3 volumes are around now, so check them out, because they're fucking great.